Okay, this is my audience. Back there.
Oh, goodness. I hope you don't show me to the class.
I would like to start by saying that the University of Alabama is the best school in the world. Now, before you get angry with me, I would just like to remind you that I am protected under my First Amendment right to have my own opinion, no matter how wrong or how foolish it may be. We as Americans would be nothing without our amendment rights and would do anything to protect them. However, recently, the rights of American children have been threatened by a movement called the Ban Books movement, as it restricts their freedom of choice, and although people are fighting back against it, it is still spreading at an alarming rate. During this speech, I'm going to discuss what banned books are and how they violate our constitutional rights as free Americans, and why we should fight back against them. First, in the book, Censorship and Cultural Regulation in the Modern Age by Beat Muller, banned books are defined as books that have been removed from schools or libraries because of the material they cover. In most cases, books are banned because of religious or sexual content. When books are banned because of these reasons, it is usually only a small group that finds a problem with them and their views and their views are not shared by the majority. Many supporters of banning books are quick to point out that although these groups may not be a part of their majority, they set out with pure intentions to protect children from reading material they deem inappropriate. But this is why we shouldn't allow others to ban books, because it allows a select few to determine what the children can and cannot read based on their own views. I have personally experienced this firsthand, and it's very annoying. A textbook in my high school was banned because it said, "One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter." Just because one parent had a problem with that line, we were forced to find a whole new textbook for that class. No child should ever be restricted from reading what they want unless it's by their own parents for individual reasons. As outlined in the Library Bill of Rights published in 1996, libraries and governing bodies should maintain that parents and only parents have the right and responsibility to restrict the access of their children and only their children to library resources. Now that I have explained what a banned book is, I'm going to describe why they are a violation of constitutional rights. The right to freedom of expression includes any act that Americans wish to express their opinions or free will. As stated in a journal article published in the Children's Literature Association Quarterly in 1999, the act of banning books limits our freedom to discern for ourselves what we agree and disagree with. Being able to decide for yourself whether you like or dislike something is an important part of having free will. By banning books that are disagreeable with our own morals, we are forcing our opinion to be adopted by others. This is critical, especially for children, because they are impressionable, and if we continue to show them that others will decide what they will and will not like, their freedom and their own thoughts may slowly start to disappear. This may sound extreme, but in an article published in the Neiman Reports in 1953, Supreme Court Justice William O. Douglas states that restriction of free thought and free speech is the most dangerous of all subversions. It is the one un-American act that can most easily defeat us. Many argue against this and say that they seek to ban books solely to protect the children. But the fact of the matter is that there's nothing to protect them from. Books like Catcher in the Rye and Harry Potter aren't going to harm kids. And last time I checked, there was not a copy of 50 Shades of Grey in my high school library. Librarians aren't stupid. They're not going to put out a book with potentially graphic material for children to read. So it's a waste of time to try and ban them when they aren't there in the first place. Lastly, I'm going to discuss how you can stop the movement and protect our rights. As a future teacher, I want my children to have the opportunity to read what they want, even if it's something you don't believe in personally. I have found countless surveys that show very few people believe books should be banned. This isn't a majority rule, so it suggests that most people don't support banning books. Democracy is the belief that we shouldn't be controlled by the whims of a few, and that is exactly what is happening with banning books. I believe that the act of banning books it completely undermines the idea of democracy and all that we fought for in the American Revolution. It tells people what they are allowed to read and takes away from their freedom to choose. Our own opinions are precious and should be protected. As the famous words of William Brennan Jr. published by the American Library Association states, the government nor anyone else may not prohibit the expression of an idea simply because society finds the idea itself offensive or disagreeable. We should not allow others to control us in any way, even one as small as deciding what we can and cannot read. So I urge you to read a banned book, no matter why it's banned. If it interests you, find a way to read it and tell people why you like it. Spreading the word about what these books are about and why people try to ban them is the best way to fight back against banning a book. The more people who realize that they should choose whether to read these books or not, the more the act of banning a book will become insignificant. In conclusion, I hope that I've helped inform you about just what a banned book is and why it goes against our constitutional rights as Americans and why we should stop banning books. While some of you may still not yet be convinced that banning books is such a bad thing, I'd like to leave you with a parting comment that will hopefully instill you to think a little harder about this issue. America was founded on the principle of freedom. Our laws, our morals, and even our lives are the way they are because of this freedom that we fought so hard for all those years ago. Without our freedom, where would we be today? Would we go to the same school, have the same friends, or even be the same person? I don't know who I would be without my freedom, but I do know one thing for sure. If it wasn't for the freedom given to me by my founding fathers, I would not be the me I truly was meant to be. And although restricting what I can and cannot read is a minor thing, any step taking away our freedom is a big step in the wrong direction. And here is my audience again.
Is that a new computer?